All right, it is 3:31. We're going to call this board meeting to order of the Parish Union High School District at 3:31. Invitation to address the Board of Trustees for closed session items only. No takers? 4.1, motion to adjourn for to closed session. Do I have a?
So moved.
Okay, Dr. Rouse for the first, and Mr. Stafford with the second. Please vote. All right. And 4.1 passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed, and we are adjourned at 3:32. All right. We will reconvene the regular school board meeting at 5:14. Yep, you're right. I always do that. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Trustee Vallejo.
Hello, all. I just wanted to thank everyone for being here, and we already started a new school year, and we are here for the students, we're here for the staff, and I appreciate each and every one of you because I know you always give it to your all to everyone here, and I just really appreciate how you guys, I do like to visit to schools, and I see how hard you work, coming from custodian to someone who's a nutrition service, to teachers, to the cabinet and everyone. I really appreciate you all. I know we are starting a school year safe and sound, and I really wanted to keep it that way. And let's have another successful year. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are now going to recess this meeting to go into the California Military Institute meeting. So we're going to recess at 5:16. All right, so we're going to call the meeting to order of the California Military Institute board meeting at 5. Play the Jeopardy music in your head, it's okay. 5:17. All right, so we leads us to item 3.1, an action item, revision, adoption, ordering of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Dr. Freeman and Dr. Rouse, please vote. .1 passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 4.1, information item, CMITA President Angel Love Behrens.
I don't see her here this
I'm
evening.
not seeing her either, so we'll move on. 4.2, Principals Update. Dr. Milos.
President Ellison, board members, superintendent, and cabinet. I think one of the coolest things about my job is I get to brag about my students and amazing staff. And so allow me 2 minutes just to do that tonight. I think I'm going to use this little clicker here, if I'm not mistaken. Here we go. So at CMI, we commit ourselves to some lofty goals. Not always are they accomplished, but we were able to accomplish some of them. Our commitment to graduation maintains, and we were able to graduate 100% of our senior class, and something I'm really proud of. Number two, we committed to maintaining the highest attendance possible. Checking yesterday, we're at 98%. But that doesn't only, it doesn't only predicate on finances for us. Really, it's about kids being in the classroom learning, and that indicates engagement for us. And so when such a high percentage of students is on campus, that's always a good thing. That means they're learning, and they're where we want them to be with our amazing teachers. Number three, we're really committed to helping all seniors fill out their FAFSA so they can get ready, get all the aid they can possibly get, and maintain that high A through G rate, meaning they're taking those college classes that will prepare them to be ready for the rigorous work of college. And I just wanted to share very briefly that we're maintaining that. In terms of FAFSA completion, we're up there at 100%, 90 at 21, and then back to 122. And then the A through G completion rate, we're maintaining it steady at a high rate. Again, testament to the staff at CMI and the hard work. But none of this would be possible without also help of a lot of different people. I want to thank Mr. Bennett for focusing us this year on mission of caring. He outlined our mission at Paris here, caring for students, staff, and our families. Mr. Bruff and Ed Services, we had a fantastic leadership retreat. Just want to say thank you. Mr. Krospanich and the HR team, they supported us. We had a lot of teachers, some retired, some were ill, number of different reasons, and so it's not easy, you know, replacing those, as you guys know very well. And we had some outstanding candidates. Just want to say thank you to their team, and of course, Ms. Raines. We had a lot of work being done on campus. Things are happening, so I want to invite you to come and see all the different repairs that are being done, and new walkways and a number of different projects, and so very thankful to everybody. And I want to thank you as well. You're always supporting CMI with approving wonderful programs and things that directly affect students and teachers in the classroom. And I just want to show you something that you approved last year. You know, when I came to CMI 5 years ago, I said we got to get away from the cemetery type of you know, tables and chairs in the classroom. So it needs to be more college engaging, so to speak. And so some of the new furniture has arrived. We're putting it to work, and it's allowing the students to collaborate and work better together. These are avid tutors getting a little break, but they love it too. So the engaging instructional environment is definitely a key for us, and I want to thank you for approving that, allowing that to happen at CMI. I know it's a big thing for us. We're not Liberty or some of these bigger schools. I know that you know, they have that, but for us at CMI, it's a big deal. So thank you again. Small steps for us. Finally, I want to say thank you for approving this a new project. It's a senior class retreat, and as you can see, our new gym is looking even nicer every day, and appreciate everybody who's made that happen. But we started off the year with our seniors working together. You know, that COVID really made things difficult for them, made it difficult for them to learn how to relate to one another. Some of them were really having a hard time even talking to one another, and they've been friends for years, but being at home really made it challenging. And so these projects help them to work together, to break those barriers and work on those social skills. And I'll just conclude with, I always do a feedback form, and here's a couple of them, and here's what they said afterwards. So question one, what did you think of today's workshop? And so I thought that it was the best group meeting experience I've ever seen. It was not awkward or you know, feeling like many other group bonding experiences were. Every single student was in it. And then, do these lessons help? If so, explain why. Yeah, they help tremendously. They made me feel extremely comfortable with so many people. I have greater confidence, motivation, and I had an amazing time. And I would love for this group to come back and talk to us again. And then the second student said, to be honest, it was fun. It helped relieve stress, something we've all been trying to do and help our students with. I was able to communicate better with my friends. It was a good bonding experience. Sorry for the bad writing, okay. Yes, I do actually feel more confident. Darn, my writing is ugly. Okay, we'll have to work on that one. We'll have to help with the writing. But I think you get the idea that they had a great time, and it boosted their confidence. And again, I want to thank you for supporting these types of programs. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much. All right, moves on to 5.1, information item, invitation to address the Board of Trustees on non-agendized items. No takers?
No takers for CMI meeting.
Thank you. 6.1 is an action item, consent calendar. The approval of the consent calendar. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Mr. Stafford. Ms. Vallejo. Please vote. Six point one passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 7.1 is an information item, June 2022 monthly suspension report. 8.1 is an action item, personnel, certificated personnel action items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Dr. Freeman. Mr. Stafford. Please vote. 8.1 passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 8.2 is another action item, personnel, classified personnel action items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Dr. Rouse. Mr. Stafford. Please vote. Eight point two passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 8.3 is an action item, curriculum. Agreement with Paper Education Company Incorporated for online tutoring and essay review services. This is funded through the Local Control Accountability Plan, supplemental and concentration funds in the amount of $40,232.50, not the Charter General Fund. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Vallejo. Dr. Freeman, please vote. Eight point three passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 8.4 is an action item, adoption of the California Military Institute's 2022-23 revised budget. I believe we have presentations, but I believe I have to take a motion first.
second
Yep.
first.
So do I have a motion for this?
Second.
Trustee Stafford, Trustee Rouse, and that will lead us to Candace.
All right. Well, I first want to point out that Dr. Milosavljevic, I believe I was one of the first people in the district to learn to say your name. I'm going to need to teach you how to spell mine. It's Miss Raines, not Mrs. Raines. I just have to give him a hard time. But I'm here tonight to talk with you about the revised budget for the California Military Institute. I know you're used to seeing Alicia Fogarty here. She has moved on to Alvord, and we're going to do introductions later, but our new Director of Fiscal Services, Nemia Capistrano, she goes by Mimi, sitting in the audience. She said, "You go ahead and take it this time, Candace. I'll watch and see how you do it." So you stuck with me for tonight. So you can go to the next slide, Sarah. So just real briefly, we're going to talk more in depth when we get to the district's board meeting, but I still wanted to highlight some of the changes that we have included in the 45-day revision for the California Military Institute budget. Just like the district budget and all budgets across the school districts across the state of California, they're brought to the board in June to be adopted, and that's based on information that was included in the governor's May revision. That comes out in May. That's the last statutory sort of set of data points for which to build your budget. The enacted state budget was signed on June 27th, so we have 45 days to then revise our budget with any major changes. And so I want to talk about 4 things that fall in that category as it relates to CMI. So there's increases in our LCFF funding. The enacted state budget provides a 6.28% increase to the base in LCFF for CMI. These are all funding estimates at this point. I'm chuckling at you because I feel like you could give the presentation at this point. Almost $807,000 in LCFF funding. $237,000 of that is their supplemental and concentration dollars, so it comes in 2 pieces there. They're receiving a learning recovery emergency block grant. The CMI amount there is just over $2 million. They also receive, like the district will, arts, music, instructional materials, discretionary block grant. That one's a mouthful, $617,000, almost $618,000 for CMI. And then because they go down to 5th grade, they also qualify for the ELO plan money, so they'll get this is above what we anticipated. There was an increase of $332,000. So all of this has been included in the California Military Institute's new budget and multi-year projections. It'll be more formally brought to you with first interim, just like we normally do. But because those changes were so significant, the education code requires us, if we make those changes, which of course we do, to bring them for you and the public to review. Oops, it's not on, thank you. So just real quick, this is how the LCFF calculation works. At CMI, they have 3 different grade spans that are covered under LCFF funding. And then you can see the additional LCFF investment of 6.28% that we just talked about with that $806,000. And last slide, please, Sarah. And this is what their multi-year projection looks like, both for the current year and 2 additional fiscal years. You can see they end with almost $5.6 million. They are deficit spending by about $150,000, but that's nothing to be concerned about in proportion to their whole budget. So with that, thank you. I'll take any questions you may have. All right. Thank you for allowing me to tease you a little bit.
Thank you, Miss Rains. All right, I'm sorry, my bad. We had to take a vote on that. All right, since there are no questions, we can vote on 8.4. 8.4 passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 8.5 is an action item. This is business authorization for purchase of capital equipment above $10,000 for August of 2022. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Freeman, Trustee Vallejo, please vote. Eight 8.5 passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 9.1 is information item curriculum, revised advanced placement course, advanced placement European history that does meet A to G requirements. And 9.2 is also an information item on curriculum, revised project lead the way course, PLTW principles of biomedical science that also meets A to G requirements. 9.3 is an information item on curriculum, revised world language courses, French 1, French 2, French 3, and AP French 4. Those meet A to G requirements. 9.4 is an information item on curriculum, new advanced placement course, advanced seminar. That meets A to G requirements as well. 9.5, information item on curriculum, new world language courses, Chinese 1, Mandarin, Chinese 2, and Chinese 3. They all meet A to G requirements. 10.1 is an information item, other items by the superintendent.
Just real quick, I had the chance to be with Mr. Milosavljevic over at CMI last week, and it's great to see the kids back, and he just had a great feel on campus. You can just tell they're happy to be there. They were, after last year, it was such a struggle. It's great to see them get off such a good start.
Thank you. 11.1, other items by the Board of Trustees. Dr. Rouse?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Dr. Freeman?
I like what he said.
Okay. Trustee Vallejo? Trustee Stafford? Just welcome back. Yeah. Great year. And for myself, same thing. And welcome. I hope you guys have a nice, productive year, and it all goes as smoothly as it has in the recent past. 12.1 is an action item, motion for adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I believe Mr. Stafford got you on. I heard him over here. He was quiet, but I heard him. So Mr. Stafford with a motion and Dr. Freeman with a second. So please vote. All right, 12.1 passes, 5 in favor, 0 opposed, and that means we are adjourned at 5:33 p.m. And we are going to reconvene the regular meeting of the Paris Union High School District for today, August 17th at 5:34. That leads us to 8.1 is an action item, revision, adoption, ordering of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Dr. Freeman?
Second.
Mr. Stafford got you. Dr. Rouse?
Didn't have to try hard. you know.
He needs to speak up so you can hear him. Huh? No. Please vote. All right, 8.1 passes, 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 9.1 is an information item, report out of closed session.
Yes, we do have a report out of closed session this evening. By a vote of 5-0, the Board of Education voted to approve scheduling a dismissal hearing for employee number 095825, a certificated employee.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. 9.2, information item, district update by the superintendent.
I have a few things. Like I was talking about CMI, being out at all the school sites and seeing what's happening on campus. The kids just seem happy to be at school and happy to just be going like normal. Last year, we had to start out with the masking and vaccine and all that stuff going on. They just seem more happy to be on campus. The teachers looked the same way. They were more relaxed this year. Everybody was kind of, because of the unknown with the COVID stuff, and no one was sure how everything was going to work out. But they're in a better place now, and I'm excited to see that. This past year, we had the opportunity to hire a bunch of new administrators for our district. We had some people that promoted to new jobs and some in other districts, and we're excited for them. They get those opportunities, but we were able to pick up some just wonderful people. So I want to introduce them, ask them to come up front here, and we'll do a team picture once we get them all up here. Our new Director of Human Resources, Maribel Escobar. Maribel's coming to us from Moreno Valley Unified School District. Our Director of Fiscal Services, Mimi Capistrano. Mimi's coming to us from Menifee Union School District. Our Coordinator of Special Education, Esmeralda Rodriguez-Chalfant. And Esmeralda's coming to us also from Moreno Valley Unified. I know Shaquan isn't here, right? I'll still say her name. Shaquan Jones was the principal at Pinacate, and she promoted to our coordinator of learning support services. Our new principal at Pinacate is Deidre Johnson. And Deidre also comes to us from Moreno Valley Unified School District. Dr. Martin Rex doesn't like me very much. Our new assistant principal at Liberty High School, Cindy Ramos. And Cindy was teaching at Paloma Valley last year, so we're glad to have her stepping up. I see you're wearing Liberty Blue. We have a new assistant principal at Paris High School, David Niel. David is coming to us from a charter school up in LA, Los Angeles. Our assistant principal at Paloma Valley High School, Antoinette Miles. Antoinette's coming to us from San Jacinto Unified School District by way of Paris High School graduate. Our assistant principal at Paloma Valley High School, James Riddy. James is coming to us from Capistrano Valley. A new assistant principal at Heritage High School, Lourdes Medrano. And Lourdes was a teacher at Heritage High School previously, and she was promoted, and another Paris High School graduate. And our new athletic director, dean for Paris High School, is Mike Overton. Mike's coming to us from Orange Vista High School in Val Verde, but another Paris High School graduate, and his father was a teacher at Paris High when I started there in 1993. So he's coming back home too. So this is our new group of administrators for our district. Kirk, you want to jump up and take a picture of them? So get close. Act like you like each other. Yeah.
I know.
Who's in the back there? Is that Deidre? Oh, no, that's who's in the back? Antoinette. Can they see you?
You might need to cut.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. All right, looking good.
Thank you all. Congratulations and welcome. So we hired 11 new administrators for the district this year, and we still have one more to hire for Pinnacotti Middle School. We're looking for an assistant principal. The job closes on Friday this week, so hopefully we're able to find a great candidate like the ones we have here today. But we did hire more than 50 new teachers / counselors this summer. Kirk's office has been busy with hiring, so that's a good problem to have when you get some fresh faces and some new people in that are excited about being there. I took them on my Peterman reality tour, a bus tour of the district. 50 of them in a school bus driving, taking them to the good, the bad, and the ugly. They need to know where our kids come from, what struggles they have just to get to school in the morning, and where some of them, where they live and some of the struggles there. So that's something I started when I took over as superintendent. I take all the new teachers on a bus tour. I didn't have room to put all the administrators in there, but maybe I'll do that another time. This past Friday, we were called at midnight that because of the train problem down here, the tanker that was leaking and possibly blowing up. So Pinnacotti Middle School became the Red Cross Evacuation Center. I just want to thank Hector and his staff for being out there getting things ready. Candace and Judy for being out there making sure we're getting what they need. And M&O for coming over, and they did some cleaning up with, because there's people in the gym. We want to make sure the showers were working, so we had them make sure that was all functioning. So it was Friday and Saturday, part day on Saturday, and they called it off after that. But it was great to see the community come together. Chick-fil-A bringing food for the people there. A lot of different community-based organizations that came out and really helped support those people that got displaced from their home for a period of time. But we're glad it became nothing now. Nothing happened. They were able to, I think they drilled a hole in it now and put water in that cooled it off. So we're excited about that. And the last thing I have is I want to thank Mr. Stafford for joining me. About a week and a half ago, we were over at Paris High. I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with Marvin Williams. He's the basketball coach over there. Been a campus supervisor for 39 years, I think, at Paris High. We were able to, something I talked about 4 years ago was when the floor had to be redone and sanded down to the thing, we have it at Coach Marvin Williams Court at Paris High School. So it was a nice event. He had a bunch of ex-players come. His former basketball coach from Mount San Jacinto came, and a lot of his friends and family and things there. So it was nice to be able to honor Marvin with that. He's put over 35 students into college for basketball scholarships over the years, and he's closing in on 400 wins. He's between 600 and 700 wins as a high school basketball coach, probably the winningest coach and one of the winningest coaches in California. So that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. 9.3 is an information item. CSEA President Josh Rushing. I'm not seeing him, though. So we will move on. 9.4, information item. 9.4, PSEA President Jason Miller.
Here we are in a new school year. So far, so good. So far, so excellent. I'd like to echo what Mr. Bennett said. It's been a really incredible first 2 weeks. I'm hoping that positive vibe amongst the student body continues. And last year was quite rough at the beginning with all the unknowns. And so it has just been a really great start to the school year. We have 1 year of post-COVID education under our belt, and things to some extent are beginning to return to normal in our second post-COVID year. Our return to school has been less rocky than last year, with a lot of new teachers and administrators coming in. We are very excited about the new teachers coming into the district, and this group seems to be a pretty competent group of new teachers, especially the new art teacher at Liberty. So, hiring good teachers has been a strength for the district for some time now, and we thank you for that. As we have a lot of new site administrators, that could mean a lot of changes to our school sites. I wanted to impart to you the perspective of teachers as they come to know their new site administrators. These comments are perspectives and not necessarily commentary on what may or may not be happening currently. These are just perspectives. These are ways that PSEA and our officers and teachers in general, view new administrators coming in. Well, for one thing, we always hope that there is some stability at the sites. I think that everybody wants that. Nobody's saying, oh, I hope it's crazy over there. We hope that site administrators remember that the teachers are, for the most part, the ones operating at those sites year after year. The teachers and educators in general stay at a site far longer than site administrators, and so the teachers have a greater sense of permanence and investment at the school sites. Little changes and variance here and there, but for the most part, the teachers are there to stay. With that being said, the different departments and individual teachers tend to form their own work families. These work families are going to drive the school. As your new site administrators come into these schools, it is important that they work with the faculty at that site because although they are for students first, site administrators do not really manage students all that much directly, with the exception of APs in charge of discipline. And even though they do not have as much contact with the students, the teachers do. Site administrators manage the site, the educators, and the adults that are there, and not the students directly as much. Site administrators manage the students through their employees. Site administrators are walking into a pre-established family, which can be difficult sometimes. And they're not forming their brand new family. And that can be difficult, walking into a new family, being the leader, and this family is already established. And that's just the job. Having the site employees behind them can greatly help or hinder a site administrator. We also hope that site administrators understand that running a smooth ship is important as they manage the school. We've seen in the past that new administrators sometimes want to change things just for the sake of changing things, but occasionally basic school functions sometimes do take a back seat. And again, these are not commentaries on what's happening right now, right here. Don't get me wrong, in some areas there needs to be change, but those changes should be improvements or better ideas and not changes that are just the latest educational fad, which aren't always that useful. With the pandemic behind us, I think we've had enough change for a while. PACL also generally does not like to see site administrators promoted to site administration at the same site they were teaching at. Sometimes this has worked out okay, but what happens is these people that were colleagues one minute are evaluators and site decision makers the next, and even amongst good teacher groups, everyone does not always see eye to eye. So it's my hope that if that has happened, that it's worked out. And I can think of one instance where it has worked out very well at Paris High School. Transitioning, as we said before, the students have been really solid this year. I mean, it was only the second week, but even then, the students have seemed more engaged with less problems than other beginnings of the school years, especially compared to last year. We are hopeful that this continues throughout the entire year, and the teachers, refreshed from the summer break, are excited to begin a brand new school year. And in conclusion, I did want to mention thank you to Hector. I don't know if he's here. Is Hector here? Hector. He's been really working hard to make sure some of these classrooms are cool. You can be in the middle of second or third period or seventh or sixth, and that thing goes out, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's dying of heat. So thank you very much, Hector. Thank you for this time to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. (9.5) is an information item. Comments by the Board of Trustees. Dr. Arouse? Okay. Dr. Freeman?
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to ask, who's this new art teacher?
What would you like to say?
I don't know, you brought it out there, so I got curious.
The new art teacher at Liberty is Anthony Bennett.
Oh, okay. Yeah, gotcha. Okay, I'm just looking forward to this. And you're right, but we go from one thing to another. We've got the pandemic. Most of it, we know how to deal with it, it's behind us. But there's always something out there. And I look at our district, compare it to what I read about and hear about what's going on around the country, and I'm glad that nobody's throwing a chair at me. It's crazy. I think that we have a setup where any of these things that come up, we can collaboratively and respectfully work them out. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Freeman. Trustee Vallejo?
Yeah, so I want to congratulate all the administrators and teachers and staff that were hired. I know with your excellence and your experience that we will have a stronger team, so thank you so much. I also want to thank Hector, Candace, and everyone else that was involved with the tank spill thing. I do know a lot of residents were concerned in the beginning, and nobody really knew what was going on. But I know you and everyone else involved will take care of it the best way possible. So I really thank you guys a lot for that. Also, as a side note, I know some of you guys already know, but for the people that don't know, the city of Paris does have a really good teen center for teenagers. So if you guys know anyone or your kids, your friends' kids, they do lots of like arts and crafts there, board games, and they are there to connect with other students. So I just think it's like a great opportunity. So if you guys know of anyone, it's really cool for the kids to hang out with other kids from probably really different districts. But yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Vallejo. Trustee Stafford?
It's good to see everyone again. We've been off for a couple of months, and it seems like forever. This catch-up, what we're doing now, the meeting is going really smooth. I think our year is going to be great. The new construction, a lot of it will be completed, and hopefully new programs will sink in, and the direction we're going is going to be the right one, and I truly believe it will be. So welcome back, everybody, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Stafford. For me, I'd just like to also echo what Trustee Vallejo said, was congratulations to all the new administrators and new teachers in our district. Welcome. We hope you guys enjoy your time here, and we're all very productive in teaching our students and their welfare as well. And for me, just welcome everybody back as well who's been in the district. Hopefully we have a nice, productive year. And that will lead us to 10.1 is an information item. Invitation to address the Board of Trustees on non-agendized items. I do have a few takers. Okay. I do have a spiel I have to go through, though. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. In addition, the president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that the additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. And with that, I do have two. One of them would like to give their minutes to the other speaker. So I'm going to ask the board, are you guys okay with them having the extra 3 minutes from the other speaker? They're the only two we have. So, okay, so we will go with Kate Dana speaking on special education, and she'll be giving an extra 3 minutes if she needs it.
Hello, thank you so much for having me here. My name is Kate Dana. I am a new parent at your district. My son was previously with Menifee from 3 years to 8th grade in a self-contained moderate to severe classroom. So it's been a long road to get here. I was very excited for him to have a new school change. Exciting times, puberty, high school, you guys know how that works. So as a parent, obviously at this point I consider myself a seasoned special ed parent. It has been a long journey, just coming from Menifee Union School District. And with them, it has not been so easy. And along with that, I decided to form what we call a Special Education Parent Advisory Committee for the school district, and I serve there as a president. So anyway, I guess I had a speech all ready, but my phone died on me, so I can't read it. So please, just kind of, if I fumble around with my words, give me some grace. I think as a special ed parent, just as a special needs parent, in particular, we only ask for a couple things. And as a CPAC president, what I find the most that parents really want from the school district are just two things, right? Transparency and communication. The IEPs can, sometimes we make mistakes as teachers, as just administrators, but we're willing to look past that if you continue to be communicative and transparent in general. We can forgive those things because we know we're humans and we make mistakes. But one thing I did find, just personally for myself and some of the parents that have contacted me that were from Menifee attending now with your district, is that better planning, I think for next school year, we need to make sure that for our moderately to severe students, we need to know who those teachers are going to be for our kids. We can't know that on the first day of school. We're talking about your most vulnerable students here with profound disability. We can't just drop them off to you, especially if we're doing transportation, and just not know who the teacher is going to be. So I think maybe making a point to make sure that is, given to us as parents, that we know who we're dropping our kids off to. I think that's just a basic thing for our special ed students. Secondly, with the transportation, I think having to transport our kids for longer than, or most of them are like 2 hours, and they're only within a few miles from this specific school site. I just don't think that's acceptable, considering it's the most restrictive environment for them. And again, that goes with planning too. So I understand that staffing, I know it's not a Paris Union District issue. I know it's a nationwide issue with staffing, so we totally get it. But then again, that goes down to communication. Just let us know, right? Don't tell us last minute. It's really, really frustrating for us parents when we're being told things last minute, when we're not being communicated. Oh, I'm sorry, was that something? No. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, I just think that we can work as a team. Like, I know you guys, I was looking forward to coming to your district because I have heard wonderful things. But then having my son place in your district and then being told last minute who the teacher was going to be, when you knew very well in May during our transition meeting that a new teacher was going to be there, I just think that should have been reiterated and provided for me, along with all the other students that were in a previous classroom at Liberty High. I feel like those students that were already there should have been told that they weren't going to have that teacher any longer that they previously had. Because the thing with our most severe kids is that change is hard, right? And so we can't just be dropping things last minute to them and changing things and new teacher, new aides. That's part of the reasons they progress. And they've already had the whole summer off. Even with ESY, we're already dealing with regression as is. And then you come to a new school, and your teacher is different, your aides are different, everything is different. I think I just want to make sure, like, for the coming up school year, is that we do have better planning when it comes to our special ed students. And I know that PSEA President Jason Miller had mentioned here, change is inevitable, right? It's always going to be changing. We can't force, as much as we want the good teachers to stay, we can't force them to stay if they don't want to stay. But just talk to us, let us know. Say, hey, how is this child going to be impacted by this change, right? Make that phone call to parents. Say, we're going to be changing teachers. How can we make that process easier for your child, for your student? I think that's all we ask of you guys. If you just be open and transparent, we're good. That's all. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I ran a little bit too long. Oh, wait, I got 18 seconds. Anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I hope to be here more often, as I do with Menifee. I always attend their school board, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dano. All right, that will lead us to 11.1, which is an action item for the consent calendar. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Arouse and Dr. Freeman, please vote. (11.1) passes, 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 12.1, information item, general functions, the quarterly uniform complaint report summary for April to June of 2022. 12.2 is an information item for discipline, June 2022 monthly suspension report. 13.1 is an action item. I believe Trustee Arouse. You need to All right, 13.1 is an action item. This is General Functions Resolution Number 6, 22 to 23, Trustee Compensation for Missed Meetings for Dr. Arouse. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Freeman. Trustee Vallejo, please vote.
Oh.
13.1 passes, 4 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstention. 13.2 is an action item, personnel, certificated personnel action items. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Mr. Stafford, Ms. Vallejo, please vote. (13.2) passes, 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 13.3 is an action item. Personnel action item, classified personnel action items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Freeman, Dr. Arouse, please vote. (13.3) passes, 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Now you can tell your son he's hired. Okay. 13.4 is an action item, personnel. This is a ratification of professional services agreement with Eric Hall and Associates to conduct a compensation study. This is funded through various COVID funds at a cost not to exceed $93,300 and not the general fund. Do I have a motion? Mr. Stafford,
Second.
Dr. Arouse, please vote. 13.4 passes, 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 13.5 is an action item for curriculum, ratification of agreement with ConnectEd for planning and design of the Link Learning Approach for Liberty High School and Paris High School. This is funded through the Local Control Accountability Plan supplemental and concentration funds in the amount of $92,800, not the general fund. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Vallejo, Trustee Stafford, please vote. 13.5 passes, 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 13.6 is an action item for curriculum. This is an agreement with Paper Education Company Incorporated for online tutoring and essay review services. This is funded through the Local Control Accountability Plan, supplemental and concentration funds in the amount of $365,750, not the general fund. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Dr. Freeman?
Second.
Dr. Arouse? Please vote. (13.6) passes, 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 13.7 is an action item for building and grounds, agreement with DLR Group for architectural services related to the design of a new restroom building at Liberty High School, funded through various facilities funds in the amount of $106,500, not the general fund. Do I have a motion? Trustee
Second.
Stafford and Trustee Vallejo with a second. Any questions? No, please vote. $13.7 passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 13.8 is an action item for building and grounds, facilities lease and site lease with Miller Construction for work at Paloma Valley High School and approval of related Phase 1 guaranteed maximum price. This is funded through various facilities funds at a cost not to exceed $380,352.80, not the general fund. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Dr. Freeman?
Second.
Dr. Rouse with a second. Please vote. The 13.8 passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 13.9 is an action item for business. Resolution number 5, 22 to 23. This is resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Paris Union High School District approving the form of a joint community facilities agreement by and among the Romoland School District, Paris Union High School District, and Lennar Homes of California, LLC. This is authorizing the execution and delivery thereof and certain other actions related thereon. Oh, my God. This is creating a school facilities agreement, joint school facilities agreement, sort of like our CFD 91-1 and 91-2 in Romoland. So do we have a motion?
Second.
Trustee Stafford and Trustee Vallejo? Yes, by all means.
Clarifying question. Is this joint community facilities going to imply any taxes or any expenses for our constituents?
Do you remember what our CFD is? CFD 91-1 and 91-2? Down in 92-1, I'm sorry. 90, Candace will definitely be able to handle that. Miss Raines would definitely be able
Miss
to answer this
Raines.
way better than I can.
Go ahead, Ms. Raines.
So Mr. Nellison is right. The district has two different CFDs, 91-1 here in Paris, 92-1 in Menifee. To make it more complicated, Romoland has a CFD that's also called 92-1 that we are a part of. They are the lead agency. We are a part. We get a certain percentage from any of those taxes. So in this case, Lennar has approached the lead agency, which is the Romoland School District, asking to prepay those fees that the developer would have to pay. This doesn't have any implication
Okay.
on the taxes. So they want to prepay at a negotiated part per unit. No fiscal impact for Romoland or for Paris.
Okay.
They just want to get rid of their obligations.
Okay. Okay.
They want
Thank
to get
you.
rid of their,
Very well.
they want to get rid of their money.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that it's not going to be something for our
CFD is
constituents, for
complex.
our people.
So that was a
Yeah.
good question.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Direct them to her. Otherwise, we're going to vote. Please vote. $13.9 passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 13.10 is another action item, business, adoption of the district's 2022 to 23 revised budget. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Dr. Freeman,
Second.
Dr. Rouse with a second, and we get another presentation.
Yes. Saw me teasing her. So here we are again to talk about the budget, this time focusing a little bit more in detail on the overall state budget, and then getting down to the nitty-gritty with the district budget. So very quickly, just a summary table. We showed something similar at the adopted budget, just showing the difference in the governor's budget original proposal, which as a reminder comes out in January, the May revision to the governor's proposal, and then that last column is the ultimate enacted state budget. You see over the course of that progression there, COLA went from 5.33 in January. It was the same in May and the same now with the enacted state budget. LCFF funding changed considerably. And as did the discretionary block grant and the learning recovery block grant. Much of the debate that occurred between the May revision and the final enacted state budget was discussion and debate about what to do with the one-time monies. And so when the state ended up looking at those one-time monies, about 60% of their new monies were directed to one-time sources, which we're seeing reflected here, and 40% to ongoing. It's just a lot more money this year, but it's not dissimilar in terms of the proportion of one-time and ongoing that we see on an annual basis. And so I'm going to get into the details of some of, oops, I keep trying to control it myself. So the district's budget was adopted by the board on June 15th, again, built upon the components within the May revision in accordance with Ed Code 42127H. Any revisions that we make to the budget, and these are significant, so of course we want to make them, we make available for public review and ultimately for board approval. So we're going to focus tonight on what the budget was revised to include, which are increases in the LCFF funding, 2 one-time block grants, and then an LCFF add-on for transportation. So first I want to focus on the LCFF investments that we're seeing over the 2021-22 state budget. So I'm actually going to start at the bottom and then move up. So this is our LCFF growth, local control funding formula, if you're not familiar. So we knew at the May revise that we would have the 6.56% COLA. That was included in the district's adopted budget. What was still being discussed is what would the additional LCFF funding look like? And so now that we have an enacted state budget, we've revised our budget to include the 6.28% that was ultimately included in the enacted state budget. That's an additional $4.32 billion at the state level above what the governor originally proposed in his May revise, and that amount had equated to $2.1 billion at that time. So a considerable difference, again, between May and the enacted state budget. For Paris Union High School District, that 6.28% equates to $6.1 million in the base and $1.5 million in supplemental and concentration. So pretty considerable difference in why we're bringing this before you. And then just a reminder, there are different components or funding factors, however you'd like to word it, within LCFF. And remember, many years ago, LCFF replaced the revenue limit. So we start with our base grant, and those are provided to different grade spans, and it's K through 3, 4 through 6, and then for the district, what is applicable is 7 through 8 and 9 through 12. We're going to show you those calculations in just a moment. The base grant, COLA, is then applied to on an annual basis, and as a reminder, that was 6.56, and that's on ADA, not enrollment, how schools are funded. What's different this year from past years is we're getting additional funding. So all of the base grants were then increased by that additional 6.28%. Then what happens with the LCFF calculation is there's something called grade span adjustments. K through 3 obviously doesn't apply to our district, but 9 through 12, we get an additional 2.6 added onto that calculation. And then there's the supplemental and concentration grant funds, and that's based on our unduplicated pupil percentage, or our UPP. And so that is made up of our free and reduced income students, EL, and foster youth, so that unduplicated number. Yes. No, you can interrupt. Correct.
The base brand, we talk about 6.26 increase, besides the 6.56. So technically, then it will be 6.26 plus 2.6.
You're right. I'm going to have Sarah go to the next slide because you're setting me up perfect. So here is the answer to your question, I think. You tell me if I'm wrong. So this is how the calculation factors work. And you're right, the majority of our funding is the 9 through 12. So you can see 7 through 8, but let me focus on 9 through 12 for this discussion. So we look at what was our base grant per ADA last year. That was $9,802. We then add the 6.56% COLA, and this is all on a per pupil basis, ADA again. That equates to $643. Then the additional LCFF investment that you were just speaking of, the 6.28%, and now we have a new base grant per ADA. Then comes the grade span adjustment, which is the 2.6, and that equates to the $288 per ADA. And now we have what's called our adjusted base grant, and again, for the 9 through 12, that's $11,349. Then we do the supplemental and concentration calculations. So that's the world that Mimi lives in and quickly became familiar with in our district. So did that answer your question about how the different elements? Yes. Okay, perfect. I thought it would. Okay, go to the next one. So the LCFF increase that we talked about is one of the components. We have 3 more to talk about. The first is one of 2 block grants that we're receiving. There are one-time monies. The first is the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. At the state level, that's $7.9 billion, and again, that's one-time dollars. Those funds are available for use through the 27-28 school year. So really pleased with that extended timeline to allow us to put really solid plans in place. The estimated allocation for Paris Union is just under $15.5 million, so a pretty significant amount of money. The next one. And you can see our allowable uses there. For the Learning Recovery Block Grant, it's quite broad, falls essentially under the learning loss mitigation funds that we've been receiving. The state did make it very clear that we should not expect any additional COVID dollars or COVID mitigation dollars beyond these 2 pots one that I'm talking about now and one that I'm about to talk about. So sort of that surge of relief for learning loss mitigation and COVID relief has come to an end following, these dollars. So the second grant is a little bit smaller, but still a considerable amount of money, just over $6 million, and that's the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Discretionary Block Grant. They're all a mouthful for us, and that at the state level is $3.6 billion in one-time dollars. Next slide will also show us our allowable uses there. The title is a little bit misleading because if you focus on those last 2 areas there, you can also use these funds for operational costs as well as the COVID-19 pandemic related supplies. And hopefully we're coming to an end with that, one of these days, but it is nice to have those funds available, of course. Okay, and then the fourth area I wanted to speak about is home to school transportation. As you may or may not know, transportation, similar to special education, is one of those programs that is severely underfunded at the state level, meaning our general fund has to make a contribution on an annual basis to cover that shortage of revenue. And so that certainly applies to transportation. And so beginning this school year, in the 22-23 school year, we now have 2 different funding models we can fall under. The second, 60% of our transportation costs is more beneficial to Paris Union High School District. That will provide us almost $1.7 million of additional funding to, reduce our contribution if that's what we so choose to do. It does require a plan that would need to be adopted by the governing board in advance of April 1st, 2023. And you can see some of the rules for that funding there. Most of the new rules and regulations have to do with the lower grade levels, which of course, that's what our partner collaborative districts serve. So, oops, I keep doing it on my end, Sarah. So these are additional components. We have to, there's no mandate to get students to and from school with this particular pot of money. However, if we do provide home to school transportation, which of course we already do, we have to focus on low income students in grades TK through 6. You can see that there's no applicability of that in our district. If we offer an expanded learning opportunities program, then we would have to provide transportation, but we don't qualify for these ELOP dollars either, so that's sort of void. And then, of course, we have to provide transportation to special education, which we do. And so that's the fourth pot of money. And so those were the 4 different areas in which we increased our budget. I do want to talk about one other item that was in the budget. You can move on, which is LCFF ADA loss mitigation. You look like you have a question.
Yeah, I don't know if you're ready to share this. Is there something in mind on how that extra money for transportation is going to have an impact on the current service that you're providing?
No, nothing yet. My initial thought and recommendation and what we've put in the budget is we don't receive enough money to cover our current costs, so we should reduce that contribution. That would be my recommendation, since we're already meeting this criteria here.
Unless there are some elements that we can identify that we can improve, right?
Right. It can, yes. That's an option. Okay. So we've talked in previous presentations about the potential changes to how we calculate ADA. Were being discussed at the state level, and so I want to share the final outcome there. So currently, well, if I use the word currently, I can't be talking today. So 6 months ago, we have had two options for calculating, or for receiving revenue, rather, based on our ADA. It can be whatever our current year ADA calculation is, or if that is lower, we can get our prior year ADA. So that's to help protect districts that decline in ADA, to always kind of guarantee them at least last year's funding. So there's an ongoing change to ADA that's used for the LCFF funding calculation. So it's going to be based on the greater of the current year ADA like we have currently, or the prior year ADA. It also adds on a computed average, so like a 3-year average, if that helps the district more. We have not finished analyzing any of that yet, both for last year or the year before. And I know this isn't the charter presentation, but there is a one-time allowance for charter schools that applies to last year only, and that's Dr. Milosavljevic is not here, but that prior year guarantee that I mentioned that applied to districts actually did not apply to charter schools. So you heard their attendance rate last year. Now they will benefit from that as well. So that was good news for them. So that's the second point there. And then the third point is this only applies to last year as well, and it's a one-time attendance yield adjustment. It does have conditions. You had to have offered independent study last year. Of course, we did through our SOLA program, and that's where we can it's an attendance yield. So we can basically take our certified CalPADS number and what is our normal attendance rate, and the state has a calculation for that. So that will possibly help us as well. There's still, I think I mentioned before, the devil's in the details on a lot of these things, and so it is nice though to see those different potential funding mechanisms recognizing the ADA loss that occurred statewide because of COVID-19. Okay. And the last slide is just what our multi-year projection looks like when we put in, this is the unrestricted general fund, so those components that I talked about, when that is put within the budget, you can see, well, if you remember from adopted budget, it is increased because we haven't made any decisions on what these funds are being used for. So essentially at this point in time, it is increasing our total ending fund balance, both as a dollar amount and as a percentage of total expenditures. So with that, I think we have the final question slide.
Any questions? No, I think you're good.
All right, thank you.
All right, and with that, no questions, we're going to call for a vote. $13.10 passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 13.11 is an action item, authorization for purchase of capital equipment above $10,000 for August of 2022. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Dr.
Second.
Freeman, Dr. Arouse, please vote. $13.11 passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 13.12 is an action item, authorization for purchase of a capital equipment above $50,000 for August 2022. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Trustee Stafford, Trustee Vallejo, please vote. And 13.12 passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 13.13 is an action item for technology, ratification of agreement with Thompson Engineering to install bells and paging at Heritage High School. This is funded through various COVID funds and the general fund in the amount of $88,690.44. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Vallejo and Trustee Stafford. Any questions? Nope. Yes.
These bells are in now? They're already in?
Yeah, so yes, they're the controllers for the bells. The bells themselves are still there. So these are all the brains that you've seen in all those closets and all the heartbeats were all updated. And they're being dialed in, so yes.
So the wall units in each room, you're gonna have to change those.
So that is a phased plan. So we intentionally upgraded the backbone of it so that in the future, we can pull those to classroom locations.
Any other questions? Nope. Please vote. (13.13) passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 14.1 is an information item for curriculum, revised advanced placement course, advanced placement European history, meets A to G requirements. 14.2 is an information item on curriculum, new advanced placement course, advanced seminar, also meets A to G requirements. 14.3 is an information item on curriculum, new world language courses, Chinese 1, Mandarin, Chinese 2, and Chinese 3, meet A to G requirements. 14.4 is an information item revolving cash report. 14.5, sorry, that was for June of 2022, and now 14.5 is information on a revolving cash report for July of 2022. (15.1) is an action item, closed session if necessary.
Not necessary this evening.
Thank you. That means we can pass reconvening. 17.1 is an action item, discipline, reinstatement of student discipline matters. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Dr. Arouse. Trustee Stafford. Any questions? Nope. Okay, please vote. (17.1) passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 18.1 is an information item, other items by the superintendent.
Just one thing, I just want to wish my wife a happy birthday today. So I put this on the record, it'll be in the minutes. And she's 29 again.
29 again. And Mr. Bennett keeps himself out of the doghouse for a little bit.
Oh, he'll find a way.
19.1 is an information item, other items by the Board of Trustees. Dr. Rouse?
Nothing at this time.
Dr. Freeman?
Nothing.
Trustee Vallejo? Trustee Stafford? And nothing from me. 20.1 is an action item, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Freeman, Dr. Rouse, please vote. And 20.1 passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed, and we are adjourned at 6:27.
We don't have any other meetings, do we?